All right, moving right along. Next up is OFFLANE.
Hi, everybody. I'm Roman with OFFLANE. Over these 2 days, you'll see over 40 amazing companies present. And there's a fear that almost every single presenter on this stage has. Please don't let the internet go down in the middle of my big pitch. But we're going to do something a little different here. Jason said it was okay. We're going to turn off the Wi-Fi. Now, not for you guys. We're going to turn off the Wi-Fi on this iPad right here. Why are we going to do that? Well, because for over 40 million iPad owners, this is what it's like to use CNN on the subway in New York. Network connection is not available. Or one of my favorite apps, Flipboard. Try to read it on a flight. I get the headline, the first few sentences, but I can't read the article. The iPad is supposed to be a magical device, but it's a portable device. Why isn't my news portable? Today we're launching OFFLANE, the world's first truly portable digital newsstand. And here it is. Notice no blue message boxes, no connection failures. Along the left-hand side, you can see news categorized by world news, politics, technology, everything you'd expect. And the headlines from each of the news sources, front and center. So you can pick what you want to read. Let's take a look at CNN. Remember CNN, the app, wouldn't even load. CNN on OFFLANE, laid out in magazine-style format for easy viewing, and you just swipe between the pages. It's that simple. Let's jump into an article. Now, you might be thinking, well, my RSS reader, it syncs down some content, right? But you don't get the full article with your RSS feeds. Here you have the full text of the article that you can take with you anywhere. And you can jump to the next article right from there. You don't have to go back and forth, so it's an efficient news reading experience as well. Faster than having 3G, faster than having 4G, because it's with you the whole time. You say, well, but I'm kind of social. I like to be able to share on Facebook and share with Twitter. I can't do that when I'm on a train. You can with OFFLANE. You can actually type in what you want to share. We will queue it up and push it out to your social networks when your connection is reestablished. The key is to have the same experience whether you're online or offline, and to stop caring about it, to stop thinking about it. But you say, well, I don't always read my news one source at a time. I like to view things across different categories and topics. Well, what's near and dear to me is the iPad launch yesterday. So let's just pop into our search tool, and let's go ahead and search for the iPad 3. And now what we're going to do is, and remember, we're completely offline right now. We're going to create a customized magazine around this search term in seconds. And it just works. It's the way the iPad is supposed to consume news. We're wrapping up our private beta right now. When we launch, we're going to be free to download. You'll be able to access 5,000 articles for free. And then there's a $5 a month subscription fee for the service. But we couldn't really call it a portable digital newsstand if you couldn't actually buy news with it. And do we have any media, press, publishers in the audience? Anybody here? All right. Well, we want OFFLANE to become a great way for you to monetize your content as well. And we're going to show you how we do that. Let's say John's a smart guy, right? John subscribes to OFFLANE for $5 a month. Well, as part of his subscription, we're actually putting money back into his OFFLANE account that he can use exclusively for purchasing premium content. So he's sitting on a flight, he has nothing but time to kill, and he remembers he didn't pick up that magazine at the newsstand, he was rushing, he doesn't have time. With OFFLANE, let's say he's looking at the New York Times, he's browsing it for free, but he gets to a certain page where the articles are not free anymore, the content is limited, and here he sees a premium label and a little lock on it, and he can go ahead and purchase and unlock premium content from publishers anytime, anywhere. We're envisioning a world where you don't have to always have a constant 3G, 4G expensive connection that's expensive and it doesn't really deliver on the promise because they have data caps and everything that goes along with it. We envision a world where you're connected and you have access to great content anytime, anywhere. News is just the beginning. We're currently raising a 500K angel round. We'd be happy to talk to anybody that's interested. Thank you.
So I've spent the last couple of months working with USA Today and a bunch of other publishers for our Windows Phone 7 device, right, to deliver content. I love this, but this puts you just right in the crosshairs of every media company that wants to own the app experience, right? And I get why you'd want this, I get why I'd want it, but I don't get why they would want it. The New York Times is a good example because they're going to go premium, but how do you integrate the ad model that those companies want to introduce around their content, or do you?
I think there's a number of ways to approach it. I think there's going to be some publishers that are going to, completely want to control the experience, but I think that's half of it. At the end of the day, it's who's got the user base. Because if you're not in front of the users, you can't sell them anything. And right now, we've got people sitting on trains that don't have access to their content.
So just without speaking out of turn, USA Today's got a technical solution to this. They're just looking at what platforms they want to deliver to. Almost every content delivery mechanism on the planet is looking for offline. There's an infrastructure play there. So if you guys have something underneath that you'd want to license out, that might be a different business model as well. But all those guys are looking at it. They know they have to deliver that. They can't sit there with the experience of not being available.
I think the challenge that they have from a monetization standpoint is that people don't necessarily want to be locked into long-term subscriptions with one player.
I get
what
that.
we're hoping to do is to be able to unlock short microtransactions for, hey, here's 20 articles from this publication for 50 cents. And all of a sudden, you just open that up to a whole other play. We're not trying to replace what they're looking to do. We're not trying to take their experience and import it into OFFLANE. We want to create a parallel experience and a new revenue stream for them.
Sure. Okay. More questions? What do you think, Sandeep? You build apps for...
Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of agree with a lot of the points you're coming up with. The other thing, the challenge that we've seen with the apps that we built that have a lot of offline access to them is that at some point they require some amount of online access to sync, right? Because you just can't do the stuff in the background without the user bringing the app forward. So the challenge here is that, if you're talking USA Today, their data set is limited, right? It's just their content. Here, I mean, you walk through a bunch of different things, CNN, New York Times. I mean, how long does the thing have to sit around and sync for, before I go on my plane trip or my subway trip?
That's a great question, and there's actually two parts to that answer. First is we sync the text first, photos second. And we find that you can get about 2,500 to 3,000 articles in about a minute to a minute and a half. So in the time it takes you to brush your teeth or put on your shoes, just pop the app open. That's point number one. Point number two is we've taken a lot of effort to ensure that when you're using the app at home, it's syncing in the background and keeping up with what's current. Because news, like I said, news is the beginning. We want to look at other kinds of content that you can deliver with this and just have it ubiquitous, have it always available so you don't have to think about it so much.
And to Matt's point, are you guys considering making the technology available for platforms, like for publishers that have their own apps already? Or is
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the problem that you're solving is a good one. I use the Economist app all the time and download the entire article so that I have it on a flight or when I'm offline. I don't think you'll be the only ones doing this, whether it's the individual publishers like USA Today or New York Times, or whether it's the aggregators like Flipboard, or whether it even goes deeper into the platforms like Apple. So I think you have to make sure that you know where your place is in the ecosystem and make sure you're building value accordingly so that as things play out, you still exist among all the competition.
I think it's good advice.
I mean, this is basically an offline Flipboard, and that's definitely a niche that needs to be filled, but I see it as a shrinking niche. I mean, isn't everything moving online? I mean, planes are adding Wi-Fi, trains are adding Wi-Fi. It seems like online is going to be ubiquitous. So as that niche sort of gets smaller and smaller, it'll push you into competing with all the other readers. Apple has its own. So how do you do that? It just seems to me this is going to be a brutally competitive, sort of commoditized space very quickly.
I think there's a couple of ways to look at that. First of all, this is a tremendously growing market because the tablet sales are going through the roof now, and that's not supposed to stop. Now, we've got a real power user group in here. This may not even be necessarily our target audience. This was built so my mom could use it. She doesn't have to punch in an RSS feed and figure out her Google Reader account. Just open it, it syncs down, you can take it with you. So there's that aspect of it. And secondly, we didn't design this to be just like an offline sync tool. We wanted to compete with Flipboard head on, and we think we've designed a great experience. So whether you choose to use our experience or Flipboard's experience or someone else's, it tends to be that there's a product fit with different demographics, and we want that to be, we want the offline capability to be the value add, but not the only value add, which is why we've approached it this way rather than just have an RSS reader.
How can you set how much storage there is on it, and
Yes.
how much of my iPad can it use? If I want to put
Believe it or not,
10 gigs worth of articles and have the last 3 years of every tech publication on there.
I want to download Pando Daily every day till the end of time.
Right, I want the entire TechCrunch archive, the entire Pando archive, everything in my thing. Yeah.
It's completely configurable, and especially for, like the free version, because it's already capped. It'll be purging anyway, so people don't have to worry about that. If you go with the unlimited package, there's a lot of configuration tools in terms of saying, okay, I want to keep this for 3 days, or I want to have news for 10 days. So that's totally.
Okay, let's hear it for Offlane. Well done.
Thanks, everybody.